Hello and welcome to Her Money Revolution, the podcast where we empower women to grow their wealth by making their money work for them. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, and today we are diving into one of the most powerful wealth building strategies out there, leveraging multiple income streams. Yes, you heard it, multiple income streams. If you're ready to take control of your finances and unlock new opportunities for growth, I promise you this episode is for you. Many people dream about becoming millionaires. They set themselves out to say, I want to work for this corporate company and I want to make $1 million and I want to retire when I'm 62 and live on a yacht and have a beautiful life. But what does it truly take to achieve this level of wealth? Well, according to the report from the IRS, the average millionaire has not one, not two, but 7 different sources of income. You guys, that's 7. That's right. 7 streams of money flowing into their bank accounts, building their net worth and securing their financial future. 7. You can count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 streams of income. So why is it so powerful to have another source of income? It all comes down to diversification and risk management. Just like a smart investor, right? We spread money across different asset classes to minimize potential losses. We diversify our portfolios. A millionaire understands the importance of not relying on one single source of income. They also diversify their sources of income. It's brilliant. So think about it. If you only have one way of making money, such as your traditional 9-to-5 job, right? What happens if you get laid off? Or what happens if your company goes under, right? Suddenly your entire livelihood is at risk. And for me, I don't want that for my family. I have a mortgage and we've got investments and we've got all these things, right? Like I don't want to lose my job and then my livelihood be at risk. So it's important to have more sources of income. If you have multiple irons in the fire, losing one source of income, well, it's obviously not ideal, right? But it's not catastrophic. It's not going to take you out. You have other streams to fall back on while you regroup and while you rebuild and while you find that other investment property or other source of income, right? So I have a client, let me just call her Sarah. I feel like I always pick the name Sarah. My neighbor, Sarah, she's so lovely. Sarah, if you're listening, hi. I'm not talking about you, but I like your name. So anyway, Sarah, my baby girl, random side, Noriella just got a baby doll for Christmas and she named her baby doll Sarah. So it's just a name that I pick. Anyway, let's call this client Sarah. So she was a full-time teacher. She always felt financially stressed. I would meet with her and she just didn't want to look at her stuff. I'd ask her, what's your account balances? And she's like, I don't know. I don't even care. It literally, her whole body language, she would just stress. You could tell she felt financially stretched out, right? Despite she loved her job. She absolutely loved teaching. She loved the kids, but she felt, and she was paycheck to paycheck and upside down sometimes. So she came to me seeking advice on how to improve her financial situation without having to leave her teaching job. She really, really loved it. She didn't want to leave it, but she needed something had to change, right? She was single, and I don't want to say get married. That's not the answer. That's just not the answer. Okay, you want to be financially independent when you go into a marriage. But anyway, that's a whole other episode for another time. So her and I worked together and we identified, I asked her a whole handful of questions and we identified a passion that she had for crafting and making things, right? So we turned this hobby into a small online business. So it's the Etsy stuff. She went out there, she was able to craft, she's artistic. So she was able to do quite a bit. I'm not that artistic at all. It would never have been my passion. But for her, she started making money, right? So her store was bringing in like extra $1,000 a month. And she started using that to pay down a lot of the debt that she had and then to start investing. So it was another source of income. It was her little side hustle. And that one additional income stream not only improved her financial security today, but it also gave her so much confidence to explore other opportunities. She's got an Etsy shop, but she's also has all these pop-up, I don't remember what they're called, but she goes places and there's like pop-up events and she she's making so much extra income from this little side hustle. It's a second job. It's a business. She's a small business owner now. And so Sarah has 3 income streams today, is well on her way to achieving long-term financial goals. And it's just so empowering. It's so exciting. It makes me absolutely love what I do. Just watching that impact for her has been incredible. So I want to talk about what some streams of income could be for you. We're going to go over 7 different income streams that millionaires rely on based on the IRS. So I did a lot of research and digging and working some with my clients that are millionaires and seeing some of the things that they've done and then parlaying this back to what IRS data shows. So the number one obviously is earned income from a paycheck, your 9-to-5 job or a business that you own, money from a job or a business, right? So if you work for corporate or if you have an employer, learn to have those negotiations about raises or about your income. Be open to taking side projects to maximize that stream of income because that's your biggest stream of income, most likely. Number 2 stream of income that most millionaires have is profit income from a business. So earning from selling products, if that's what your business is, or services. The United States has really gone away from, well, we still have products, but a lot of these small businesses are services. And so having some kind of profit income from those services provided. So even if you're starting, like my friend Sarah, that online store or offering coaching services is another big one. Number 3, another stream of income millionaires rely on is interest income. So this is from their investments. So you're earning from your savings accounts, CDs, bonds. You want to research those high yield savings accounts to make sure that you're maximizing investment income. Another investment income would be your dividend income. This is number 4, payments from stocks or mutual funds. So if this is a strategy that you have, I would just encourage you to start small and then reinvest those dividends to grow this stream. You don't want to, I had someone ask me if they wanted to retire 30-something years old and just live off their 401k. I don't remember. I think their 401k was like $500,000 and just live off the dividend income. Not a good plan. You're too young. It's not enough in a 401k. Your dividend income is not going to be able to sustain a family of 5, right? So start small, but it's another source of income. Number 5, rental income, which is the obvious, right? Earnings from leasing a property or VRBO, an Airbnb. Sometimes there's a lot of hassle that goes with that, and that's not always fun, but the income could be great. Capital gains, profits from selling investments like your real estate or your stocks. You want to be mindful, though, of the tax implications and the timing of capital gains. Make sure it's able to get capital gains long-term, right? So you want to have your investment for a year and a day at least to have a long-term capital gain. But that's another great source of income. Royalty income. So this is the earnings from intellectual property, right? So like writing a book or licensing a product or creating online courses. So millionaires have all of these, not just their paycheck from their 9-to-5. They oftentimes have all 7 of these. Building up to all 7 of these will take years, even decades possibly, but you have to start somewhere. Okay. So maybe look through, listen to this again, or if you wrote it down, look through the list and say like, okay, I can do this one and start this one, right? Start with 2 or 3 streams that align with you and your skills and your interests, and then start expanding on them. And then as you gain more confidence and resources, maybe gain another source of income. Luckily, there are a few income streams that are on this list that I want to dive into a little bit more because they're very accessible for the average person, and they can be excellent ways to begin to expand beyond a single salary. A lot of my listeners are women. Some are single women with children, and you're thinking, are you crazy, Angela? I can hardly keep my 9-to-5 job, let alone thinking about another source of income. If you pause enough to start making small changes, I promise you, your future self is going to thank you. I promise you, you can do it. I've seen it firsthand. You can do it. All right, I want to highlight 3 of the most approachable options. But first, I do need to have a disclaimer. I want to talk a little bit more specific on some stocks and certain investments. So here's my disclaimer. This information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered financial, investment, or tax or legal advice. I am a certified financial planner. I am a business owner, but I am not providing specific investment recommendations or personalized financial guidance. All investments carry risk, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Please consult with a qualified financial professional other than me before making a financial decision. Any opinions expressed are my own and do not reflect the views of any specific company, firm, or institution that I am affiliated with. So, number one, dividend income from stocks. Investing in solid dividend-paying stocks provide you with a steady stream of quarterly or even monthly income, depending on which dividend-paying stock you invest in. And thanks to the power of compound interest, which I've talked about in a couple episodes ago, those dividends can really add up over time as you reinvest them. But if you need to take them out for income, that's okay too if that's the strategy that you're in. One of my favorites and one of the most popular dividend-focused ETFs, exchange-traded funds, is the Charles Schwab Dividend Equity ETF, which is ticker SCHD. It has a really attractive expense ratio of 0.06%. It has a strong record of performance in rising payouts. SCHD is an excellent way to build a diversified portfolio of dividend stock. Looking at the past 5-year annualized return has been 11%. And the current yield as of, January 2025 is about around 3.5%. So that means that a $10,000 investment into SCHD will kick out about $350 per year in dividends. Okay, clearly it's not enough to retire on, right? $350, but it's a good start. And number two, easy approach, or one of the more easier approaches, rental income from real estate. So when you own investment properties that you rent out to other tenants, it's truly just a tried and true method of generating additional income. In the current age now, Airbnb and VRBO, it's easier than ever. We work with a property manager that helps manage the facility so you don't have to be the landlord. There's lots of great ways to be able to get rental income. And there's a tax benefit, right? The IRS allows you to deduct so many different expenses connected to rental property. Some categories are like ordinary necessary expenses, improvements into them, depreciation, furniture if necessary. There's a whole slew of them. So work with a CPA to help you understand what those benefits are. But it means that you can deduct your insurance, your interest on your mortgage, on your maintenance costs, your physical wear and tear of the property. Those are super great for helping you keep more money into your wallet or in your investments. Depreciation, though, work with a CPA on that, but it may produce a nominal loss, which is you may deduct against other income. So like in other words, you may achieve net positive cash flow from the rental income minus expenses. You still have a net loss for tax purposes. Hopefully that makes sense. But you need to be aware that depreciation also reduces the cost basis of the property for calculating capital gains, okay, when you have it. So be mindful of that. If you rent your property seasonally, if you have a summer vacation or summer cottage and it just rents during the summer, you may use it yourself for up to 14 days per year, okay? Or 10% of the number of days that you rent to others at a fair market price and still be able to deduct your expenses. So you want to make sure if you have a cottage and you consider a second home, you might possibly benefit from having it be a rental if you use it for 14 days or less. Again, work with a CPA on that. But let's say you're like, hey, that's not for me. I don't have 20% down to buy a cottage. I don't want to work with a property manager in a VRBO. That's okay too. There's actually buying that physical real estate doesn't help or you don't have that upfront capital. It's okay. So there's a platform. It's a newer platform. Well, at least new to me. I'm not sure when it came out, but it's called Arrive and it's backed by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Arrive allows anyone to buy fractional shares of rental properties for as little as $100. You get the benefit of being a landlord, the passive income, the property appreciation, diversification, but without having to deal with all this crap that landlords have to deal with, right? Like the hassle of finding tenants and collecting rent checks or fixing broken toilets. I, for one, would not want to do that. So it's a really interesting platform. I'll put in my show notes, I'll put that link to Arrived. Now, I don't get any cutbacks or anything from this. It's just something that I've seen and I've used, and I think it's pretty cool. Number 3, interest income. So with today's high net or high rate environment, now interest rates are coming back. Money markets are not paying as much as they have, but there's still higher rate environment. It is a great time to start generating interest income and locking in those higher yields if you haven't already. Millionaires frequently make money from interest payments, often through bonds, right? A bond is essentially a loan that you provide to a bank or an institution in exchange for regular interest payments. They also take advantage of high yield savings accounts. If you have money in a bank account or in a savings account, make sure it's a high yield savings account, which offers more interest than your traditional accounts, okay? These accounts they're usually available through FDIC insured online banks and they're excellent options for anyone looking to maximize their savings. So I'd encourage you to look into that as well. So how to start? Okay, so let's kind of step back a little bit. Building multiple streams of income is one of the most important steps you can take in your journey to financial freedom and to reaching, if that's a goal for you, the millionaire status. Some people it's not, and that's okay too. And as a Christian, sometimes I have some DMs, some people saying, well, as a Christian, isn't this greed? It's not. No, I trust that God wants me to live a life of abundance. And so if that's how you feel and your goal is to become a millionaire, to see the millions that you can impact by maybe giving back to your local communities or nonprofits that you're interested in, it's phenomenal. But remember, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So why not start building up a few of those on your own today, right? Like just start. I always say it, I'll say it again, your future self will thank you. So what are some practical steps that you can start taking? Well, understand your current situation. What skills and passions do you have that you can monetize? If you don't know, ask a friend, ask your husband, ask your spouse, hey, do you think is there anything about me that you think I could do that would monetize, that I could monetize? Are you an artist and just nobody knows it? Do you like to make jewelry? Well, maybe put it up on Etsy and see what you can do. Number 2, set some really clear goals. You want to determine how much income you want to generate and then by when. So writing it down, visualizing it is really important in this step. You're setting those goals. And then you want to research and plan. You don't just want to talk about it. You just want to write it down on a piece of paper and then we'll see what happens. If God wants me to be rich and abundant and be a millionaire, he'll let it happen. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to research. You need to plan. You need to explore the opportunities like freelancing or investing or launching a small business, whatever your goal might be. Like John and I, buying into a franchise, start researching. John started researching franchises 5 years, 6 years ago maybe, and it wasn't until 2025 that we actually started really okay, let's make this work, make this happen. Research. Maybe in that research or whatever you're doing, start small, right? Begin with something that's manageable. Begin with something that you don't feel overwhelmed, but the closer you get to it, the little baby steps that you take, you build confidence and then you build momentum. And then the more, honestly, going back to the third point, the more research you do, the more confident you become in whatever that big goal was. And then use technology, right? Simplify the processes, expand your income streams over time, automate and scale, and understand technology advancements that are out there that can help you in these areas. So something else that I wanted to mention on this is that there's challenges, right? It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And so how do we overcome these challenges? So many times, especially women, I think that we do the research, we do the planning, but we're conservative or we're scared or we're afraid. And so we stop. We don't take that next step. We don't take that risk. We just don't feel confident enough in the research that we've done. Even though everything is saying, yes, it's going to work, just do it. We still don't have that success in hand. And so then we're afraid. So that fear of failure, right? Many of us worry about what could go wrong instead of focusing on what could go right. Okay. With this franchising that John and I are talking about, it's what's the worst case that could happen? If it doesn't work, well, then you're out some money, but it's not going to take you out. So maybe you're not afraid of failure, but there's just limited time or resources. That's another hurdle to get over. I'm a business owner. I have a podcast. I have 3 kids. I have a husband who travels. I travel quite a bit as well with him and with the family. And one of my guys is a little actor and he's always going to these little auditions for acting. So time is limited and it's hard to find extra time when life is already so stinking full. So I get it. I understand. That's a challenge. We all have it. So don't stress out if you literally don't have the time, but understand where are you spending your time, right? Are you watching TV from 8 p.m. to midnight before you go to bed? Turn off the TV. My house, my family, my kids watch television, but John and I, we don't turn the television on. We don't, other than sports. My husband watches his sports, but even that's not that much. So you realize what your capacity is when you start going after some of these bigger goals. Your priorities start shifting. Nothing in me wants to curl in bed and watch an episode of, I don't even know, whatever show's out right now. The one show that is out that I do enjoy with my kids once in a while is The Chosen. Now, season 5 has not come out yet, so we haven't, but that is a super great episode all about Jesus, and it's so phenomenal. My kids absolutely love it. So that would be one where we like to watch that. Anyway, another challenge that we often see is literally just the lack of knowledge or experience, right? We don't know what to do. We don't know where to start or what step to take. Obviously, that's a big challenge. My experience, you make a phone call. You call and ask the question, hey, this is something that I'm interested in doing. I don't know where to start. This podcast, make a phone call, figure it out, start researching. I have a girlfriend actually that texted me the other day. She's like, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. Where do I start? I sent her all kinds of information. We've gone back and forth a little bit. We're going to meet for lunch. I'm going to help her get started because last year I was right where she is today, actually. So use your resources. Don't let that paralyze you. Don't let it paralyze you. I've got someone in specific. Make a phone call. Just make a phone call. Figure out what you figure out. Okay, anyway, here's the thing. You don't need to have everything figured out before you start. You just need to start where you are with what you have and take that first step, no matter how small. Make that phone call today, and then tomorrow, do whatever they said on that phone call, right? So when John and I became interested in buying into that franchise, which I talked about earlier, we started researching the process. We started connecting with others who had done it before. We started meeting with the company. John flew out to Pennsylvania to diligence and understand more about it. We met with a broker that brokers other franchises. We researched other franchises. It wasn't a quick journey. It was years. But what happened, each meeting, each conversation, it brought us closer to making the leap, right? By the time we were ready to take that risk, it felt so much smaller, like it wasn't this big unknown. We had a lot of knowledge, and knowledge is truly power. So you can go as far as you're comfortable until it's time to commit and sign on that dotted line. But the key is just to start that research, make that phone call, seek support from mentors, maybe take a course or join a community group that can guide you. Remember, success, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. The company I used to work for used to call them WIPs, work in progress. Another one of my favorite quotes is, don't wait until you're ready. Start now. Success is built on taking that first step. I don't know who said it, but I love that quote. So what is your first step going to be today? Send me a DM. Let me know. Hopefully this podcast was encouraging for you. Hopefully you learned a little bit about how to become a millionaire and how to have another source of income if you don't already have more than one. Thank you for joining me in today's episode of Her Money Revolution. I hope you're feeling inspired. I hope you want to explore new opportunities and build multiple income streams and create lasting wealth for you and your family and for generations to come. Remember, every small step adds up. I promise. Start today and your future self will thank you.